My story starts with my dad. He got deported when I was 17 to Nicaragua. And so the first time I ever left the country was to go to his funeral. He passed away a year later after getting deported. I was so sad that I had to see him that way. The only thing that really brought me comfort was finding 3 voicemails that he left me. He had left them just a few days before he died. It was my birthday. And he's calling me. And I was mad at him that day, so I didn't answer 3 times. I declined 3 times. He died alone in a hospital, and we didn't find out until the day after. Thankfully, I have these last voice messages. And in the voicemail message, he tells me, Estrella, I hope a million angels look after you. I love you so much. Things are going to change soon. Bye. So he passed away on 11/11, and so that number really means a lot to me. Anyways, I go to Nicaragua, I meet my entire family, I leave, I write myself a letter saying things need to change. Like, I've been so focused on academic success. So I went to university. I got a full ride to university, thankfully, and because of that, I was able to study abroad. I got scholarships, and I took out student loans. I did this program, and instead of coming back home, I stayed longer, and I went backpacking around Europe. I was 19. I went to 15 countries. I loved it so much. I met so many strangers. I came back, changed my major to tourism, and because of that, I was able to see 40 countries in those 3 years, thanks to university. And that's what led me to my co-founder of Last Farewells, Troy. He had this idea back in the 80s. It was a side project at the time. And so that completely changed my life.
My name is Deep, and I'm the host of It's Not That Deep. Now, before we jump into this episode, which you're not going to want to miss at all, I want to take a second to tell you my story a little bit. So after graduating college, I worked for the federal government of Canada. Not only that, I worked in the pensions department. I know, super exciting stuff, right? Now, I was the king of water cooler talk, super long breaks, and staring at the clock waiting for my shift to end. That was my life, and I absolutely hated it. The whole time I kept asking myself, is this it? Isn't there something bigger, something out there that I actually truly care about doing? So eventually, after a ton of internal debate and quite frankly, a lot of friends gassing me up to start some kind of show, I decided to launch It's Not That Deep. Now, that was back in 2019. The whole premise of the show was to connect with people who I find interesting and to learn how they are realizing their potential in whatever domain. Now, I also wanted to have some kind of show where I could document my journey, something where, you know, if I have kids or grandkids one day and they ask, you know, what I was doing at 26, 27, I tell them, go to YouTube, check it out. So that single decision flipped my life upside down because it led me to meeting a bunch of incredible entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, artists, and everything in between. From there, connecting with the right people led me to starting my own media company. And that's when I met my current business partner, Jamie Lee, through this podcast. So then in 2021, we launched Deep Social Brands. Fast forward to now, we've done over $2.5 million in sales. We've traveled the world, moved countries, built teams, built incredible relationships, and we've gotten to film content all around the world. Like right now, I'm in Panama. We're filming content with one of our clients. And the crazy part is I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yet. But none of those vanity metrics or anything like that actually truly matter, because putting out content changed my life. I'm telling you, if you just commit to hitting publish, I guarantee it'll change your life in ways that you can't even fathom. And that's why Jamie and I decided to launch putoutcontent.com to help you realize your potential through putting out content. And no, don't worry, it's not just another agency. So if you are serious about growing online, connecting with people around the world, and living the life of your dreams, and if you're tired about guessing what to post, what the strategy should be, how to get your videos edited, how to even film them, or just generally how to put out content, head over to putoutcontent.com. You'll thank me later. But for now, let's get to this episode of It's Not That Deep. Estrella Tiroz, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast.
I made it. I could say that I made it.
Yes, you made it. I mean, oh my God, you are one of my favorite people ever. I just adore your energy. From the minute I first met you, and I remember the moment too. I had heard about this person, Estrella, who just, you know, lights up an entire room, makes everyone smile, makes everyone feel good. And I wasn't not here when you guys had a thing at our old apartment, the 3-bedroom spot. And I remember Lexi, and she invited us to coffee and chill, and we were all going to go together. And you were picking us up. And it's like 9 a.m. and you're blasting music, lit, screaming at the top of your lungs like, eh. And I'm like, I already like her. She's awesome. But Estrella, I want to give you a more proper intro for those who might not know you. You are one of the founders, or are you the only founder?
I'm the co-founder, yeah.
You're the co-founder of Last Farewells, an end-of-life planning platform designed to help individuals leave no words unspoken. I love that. And we're definitely going to talk a lot about that today on It's Not That Deep. Now, I'm going to give listeners a fair warning. I know the podcast is called It's Not That Deep. We might get a little deep today.
Just a little bit. We're already talking about death and end of life and, every traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, just a little.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not just going to be you. I'm going to share some stuff too. Because, death is such an important topic that so many of us don't want to discuss. It's this thing that we all know is guaranteed. It's looming. It's around the corner. But we don't know when, but it's going to happen to all of us. And we've all experienced it one way or another, through friends, family, loved ones who are no longer with us. And it's just almost this taboo topic. And it's so emotionally charged, obviously. It's religiously charged, spiritually charged. It's this topic that just, I don't know. But I'm going to give you the floor a little bit to explain, first of all, your relationship with death and then how this all came about.
Yeah, of course. I never in my entire life thought I would be working in the death industry. In my entire life, I said, what? What industry? No. It all happens for a reason. But my story starts with my dad. He got deported when I was 17 to Nicaragua. And so the first time I ever left the country was to go to his funeral. He passed away a year later after getting deported. And so that completely changed my life. My classmates raised money so that I could go back to go see him. And when I was there in the casket holding his hand, I literally wrote I sobbed. I said, I love you. I was so sad that I had to see him that way. And the only thing that really brought me comfort was finding 3 voicemails that he left me. He had left them just a few days before he died. It was my birthday, and he's calling me, and I was mad at him that day, so I didn't answer 3 times. I declined. I visibly remember it was my birthday. It was my first time going out as an 18-year-old. My sister took me to a club. I'm at this club. He calls me at 11 p.m. I was like, he took too long to call me today. I'm not going to go.
Oh, okay.
And I declined 3 times. Visibly remembered. And I spoke to him briefly 10 minutes the day after, but I was very dry. I was very passive. I was like, all right, love you, bye. I didn't mean it. And then I found out that he passed away. He was getting off a bus and he walked off and he died. He died alone in a hospital, and we didn't find out until the day after. So he passed away on 11/11. And so that number really means a lot to me. And that, like I said, that moment changed my life because I was leading by anger, and then it became guilt. And then thankfully I have these last voice messages, and in the voicemail message he tells me, Estrella, I hope a million angels look after you. I love you so much. Things are going to change soon. Bye. And then things did change, and he didn't know he was going to pass away. He was only 50 years old, and so I thought I had more time.
It was just sudden?
It was so sudden. It was so sudden.
Oh.
Literally one day to the other. I had a high school boyfriend at the time. Our anniversary was 11/11. I was at Disney celebrating. I was at Disney unknowingly knowing that my dad was taking his last breaths in the hospital alone. And that's the part that gets me. Nobody should die alone at all. Anyways, I go to Nicaragua. I meet my entire family. I leave. I write myself a letter saying things need to change. I've been so focused on academic success that I didn't make enough time to answer my dad's calls. I was mad at him for various things, but I chose to, I chose this lifestyle and I wanted to change that. So I went to university and I took that momentum and I got a full ride to university, thankfully. And because of that, I was able to study abroad. I got scholarships and I took out student loans. I did this program, and instead of coming back home, I stayed longer and I went backpacking around Europe. I was 19. I went to 15 countries. I loved it so much. I met so many strangers. I was like, well, life is short. If I need to live as much as I can. I can't let money be a factor. I grew up poor, so I couldn't let money limit where I was going to go in life. I came back, changed my major to tourism, and because of that, I was able to see 40 countries in those 3 years. I went from seeing one country, Nicaragua, to 40 in the span of 3 years, thanks to university. And that's what led me to my co-founder of Last Farewells, Troy. He had a company called GoAbroad.com. He was a CEO. I applied as an intern. I shot my shot. I sent an email. I said, look, I have all this travel experience. Can I please have an internship? And they designed an internship specifically for me because they liked the portfolio I built. They said they gave me a chance.
No way.
Yeah. And even that man, Troy's, my co-founder, shout out to you, Troy.
Shout out to Troy.
He literally, he raised money. He heard about I told him about my dad's voicemail. He raised money so I could go back to Nicaragua and get a gravestone plate made for my dad. Because if you went to his funeral, there was no sign of his name. It's like nobody was there. And he raised money so I could go back. And so I went back and I got his name plate made. And yeah, Troy just created a lot of opportunities for me. He let me backpack Latin America. At 4 go abroad after I proposed it, he's like, yeah, go for it. So I went from Bolivia to Mexico. So I had all this travel experience. Never thought again like death. But Troy was working on Last Farewells. He had this idea back in the 80s. Okay. It was a side project at the time. And I forgot about him. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Troy's a bit older, right?
Yeah, Troy's like 59.
Yeah.
So he's older. So he had this idea and years passed.
Such an unlikely partnership, but like a beautiful one.
He looks like Santa Claus.
He seems like a really cool guy, but so cool. Let's slow down a little bit. I want to dive into how like you guys, I mean, I know you just quickly went over it, but we got time here. So tell me about like how you connected with Troy and what really brought you guys together to the point of you sharing this really vulnerable thing that happened in your life, right?
Yeah. So I was an intern and moved to Colorado, and Troy didn't even work in the office. He was in town. He is a CEO, and he learns about me. And before I went to this internship place, I sent over a package of goodie bags. I made goodie bags. I made thank you notes. I said, I'm so excited for this internship. Like, listen to me. You got to go above and beyond. So,
and then you be doing that.
I was just so grateful. They made something. I was like, wait, before I get there, I want to send this over. So I mailed this package. And so he remembered that. And so he wanted to have lunch with me as an intern. And we got to. He asked me about my story. And I mentioned about my dad. And I mentioned the voicemail. And then I told him my dream is to go back to Nicaragua and get his gravestone plate made. And then a few weeks later, he randomly, just after that one lunch, tells me he raised money so that I could go back. So Troy is also like just a very incredible philanthropic person. And so it's really, I think, just two energies coming together. And I think, how do we build it? We had one conversation. I'm very open. I love hearing people's stories. And with Troy, he made time to listen. He didn't have to do that. He's a CEO. He's running a company with many, many employees. But he had lunch with an intern. Mm-hmm. That was one life-changing lunch because that's years later, I became his co-founder. I got an opportunity I never in a million years thought. I would never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. I never thought I'd be working with investors or dealing larger sums of money or managing people's money to launch this company. So it really just took one person to give me a chance at that age that I was 22 and he was in his 50s. And that's kind of like what started that foundation of friendship.
And you mentioned that, you know, you're completely okay being vulnerable and open with people. You've always been that way?
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. I was so shy.
You were shy?
I was so shy growing up until I was 18. And what made me less shy, definitely, I'm great one-on-one groups. I'm very shy, even so sometimes. But when I was 18, after my dad passed away, I took it to extreme, like, I'm going to live life. And then I started drinking, as college students do. It wasn't an addiction, but I drank because I wanted to feel that confidence. I became such a different person, and I just tapped into, like, I stopped caring, and then I became friends. And I found out that when people drink, it opens a side of them. They become more vulnerable. They share their own stories, and it's just so cool to see people that way. So I became the enabler. I'd be like, if we were drinking right now, I'd pull at the bottom, I'd be like, "Yo, here, let's go. We're already getting deep, but we get deeper."
But do you want to drink?
Got some water. 4 years sober now. But anyways, yeah. I forgot what we were saying.
That's super interesting because, I mean, my experience knowing you as well, like after that first time we met, I'm like, oh, I already like her. She's super cool. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way as soon as they meet you. And then you invited me to your birthday after.
You invited me to your birthday.
I did. Yes. You came to mine and we celebrated with all our friends, and it was awesome. But then I came to yours, and this is the most unique birthday that I've ever been invited to before, because you did give me a disclaimer that it's a sunrise birthday party. And I was like, okay, like, you know, I'm not usually a morning person, but, you know, for Estrella,
you made the effort. I appreciate that. That I remember that.
We'll make it work. And let's just say that as much as I planned to go to bed early that night, I just couldn't sleep. I'm not an early sleeper. So anyways, basically, I remember coming super early in the morning. I was still late, like by everyone's standards at that point. But I remember coming through, and you just had so many people there. A DJ, your friend Manu, and all my friends, but then so many of your friends, so many of your family flew out for this. Seeing your great-grandmother?
My grandma.
Your grandma? Oh my God. Just seeing your grandma there, seeing all this family and random people too who you did not know. You're like, I have no idea.
I wanted strangers to come, but I was hoping for. I said, please come.
It was so awesome. But you talked about like, you know, being vulnerable and being open with people. And man, you were sharing your story so openly at like 7 a.m. on a mic.
I got deep as
on the beach. I cried.
No way.
I did. I couldn't hold it back. Like I was not expecting that. It was not on my bingo card, but I was like, wow, this girl is willing to share such a deep emotional thing to her, an experience to her, but not only that, but like take a positive spin on it and build a business around it. What is Last Farewells?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thanks for coming to my birthday. And also, his birthday was so fun. He didn't know me. He invited me, though. And we were on a boat and we were partying. And he said, I like bringing racks of people who don't know each other. I need like 4 people there. And I love with such great friends. So shout out to you. You did it first. I did it a week later. We're Scorpios.
Scorpios.
So we did it. But when you said that on the yacht and you're like, I just love when people don't like getting the most random people together and then you put them somewhere. That's exactly what my sunrise birthday was.
Yeah.
It was not trying to separate any friend group or family. It was literally bringing those people together and hoping they make a connection. And I'm not gonna say who, but I just got a text saying that 2 of my friends who did not know each other at my sunrise birthday met and they're dating right now.
Let's go. That's what it's about.
So I said,
and Jamie's back there celebrating.
You just had the most epic sunrise meeting because that's my dream, first of all. That was so fulfilling to me. And that's what happens when you create. And before Last Farewell, was like my biggest takeaway from working in the death industry right now is that you do have to live life, but you have to live it for your terms. My sunrise birthday was solely for me because I've always planned things for other people. And then you get stressed about how other people are feeling, what are they having a good time? So I said to myself, if I'm stressed planning this, it's canceled.
Oh.
And I don't care. I invited people, but I wasn't keeping track of who was RSVPing or not because I just said, whether it's just me, I'm having fun alone on that beach with that DJ and the mariachis. It's going to be me. And then 65 people showed up.
Oh my God.
And that was even better. But there was no expectations for people to show up because it's morning and you can't have those expectations on others. So, but I had such a great time because I was solely having fun for me rather than, and then in turn, other people have fun and you just don't stress it. So anyways, yeah.
Wait, before we go into the next, we have to talk about this for a second because that is fucking profound. Yeah. What you just said right there. I've never considered it that way. I mean, yeah, like throwing events and worrying so much about the outcome is something I do. Yeah. I often do, very much so. Yeah. And it's like, I want to make sure everyone's having a good time. I want to make sure I have like the most amount of people so that the most amount of those connections can happen. But your perspective there is so interesting because it's like, no, I'm throwing this for me.
Yeah.
You're
about it. I'm ready. You're here.
I did my part. I set some stuff up, but come or don't come, it's okay. Yeah. I'm good.
That takes away all the pressure. And I, because a month and a half before I hosted this event for founders and investors, and I was so stressed about the process and the event passed. I didn't feel like it was that good enough. Like I had high expectations for myself. Everybody's coming up to me. We had such a great time. It was awesome. I didn't believe them because I didn't have fun. And that night was a night that I had the epiphany. What am I going to do for my birthday? I'm going to have my sunrise birthday. I'm going to get a DJ. I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm just going to say, hey, it's a sunrise thing. There's going to be some breakfast and music. I'm not going to put any expectations. I'm not going to hype it up. I'm just going to say, come, here's the invitation. But that was the night. I had such a stressful time that I didn't believe when people were telling me they had such a great time. I thought they were lying. I said, you're lying to my face because you're just trying to be nice to me. But maybe they did have a great time. But I made it that commitment. And any birthday from now on it's not for others. If it's for me, and in turn, because I'm exuding that joy, other people, I think naturally it livens it up, right?
100%.
So next birthday, I challenge you, 30th, right?
Yes.
It's coming. I'm having my quinceañera. I'm having my double quinceañera because I never had one, and it's coming this year, November 8th. Y'all are invited virtually.
You're all invited.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But she doesn't care if you show up or not.
No, I don't. I really don't. I'm going to care. Did I dance? Did I have fun? Did I connect people? If I want to, not force, but just like, hey, come. You know this person.
Create the space for people to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I mean, we could talk about that one thing for so long, but like, I just love that perspective. I'm already like taking things away from this. So, tell me about Last Farewells. I really want to understand, like, what is it?
Last Farewells is an end-of-life planning platform for last messages and memorial pages that get delivered after you pass away. So people can create last letters, last videos, last audio messages, and schedule them for upon your death or birthdays, milestones, weddings, future moments that you want to be there for, but you might not be. I think this is a really beautiful way to help people with grief. Just like my dad's voicemail was so unexpected. It's something I was listening to. And at my sunrise celebration, I played my dad's voicemail. It's a 10-second clip of him singing me happy birthday. It's been 11 years now that he's passed away, and I'm still listening to that. It's one of the first things I listen to on every birthday. Something so simple that he left me is still adding joy to my life and comforting me even years later. And so I personally don't think enough people plan for end of life. They think it's associated with wills or estate plannings or all these legal jargons, but there's so much that can be left with just leaving behind emotions. It's so powerful. I went to Nicaragua. I want to get married in Nicaragua one day. And I took my grandma to the place that I want to get married at because I found it. I said, walked in here. I don't know with who, but here. And I had her record a video message for my future wedding because she's 93. And I'm not sure if she'll make it in the future. And that itself gives me peace because either she's at my wedding or this video will be. I don't know what the video says. I had my uncle help me. But I think that's the concept of Last Farewells. It's, creating these moments of gifts that can literally live on for decades and keep inspiring people. And I met so many people that show me their last voicemails, like, this is the last words. There's such a beautiful thing to see, like, what someone has said to you that can keep inspiring, pursuing different paths. And my dad's voicemail completely changed my life. It led me on this journey with entrepreneurship. It's connected me to people like you. I wouldn't have met you otherwise. I would have been stuck in my corporate job. So I just think Last Farewells as an end-of-life planning platform for emotions, it's so simple. It's such a simple idea, but it can be accessible to so many people. And our vision is to make it 100+ languages worldwide because we want to make sure that no words are left unspoken. And my dad, who literally died with holes in his shirt, $0, had nothing to his name, left me this gift that in turn I think is going to create millions and millions for me because it's shifted my perspective on it. So my hope is that more people start end-of-life planning that way with emotions and then take them through the rest of the process because it's such a hard process. You're right. People don't talk about it. They don't think they're going to pass away. But I'm not going to try to convince you to create your last farewells. I want you to convince your mom, someone you love, because you're going to want it more for her. And you're going to have a better chance of convincing her than I am. So.
Oh, I literally, what did I write here? Mom. and so, wow, that's such a beautiful, but yes, simple premise. And the word that keeps coming up in what you're saying is gift.
Yes.
That's the best gift anyone could receive.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who has a loved one who's passed away, which is basically everybody. And only more so as we get older and, you just lose people, right?
Yeah.
But man, would it be nice to have that gift.
You don't realize that until it's too late.
I would trade any material possession for a lot of those gifts. It's like it's like a conversation with someone who's no longer there with you. And we can get into the spiritual of like, do you feel like they're still with you or not or whatever? But physically, they're not.
Yeah. And all you want to do in the moment that someone passes away, our immediate instincts is, what were the last text messages? Mm-hmm. What did they post on Instagram? Like, those are the immediate curiosity things. Like, you're curious, what were the last things they said? Yeah. But this is a way where, all you want to hear from them is one more time. When you're suffering from so much grief of losing someone that you love, especially as a parent or sibling, especially if it's unexpected, those are the things that you just want. You call them a million times. Ariana Grande called Mac Miller 900 plus times. We wanted to hear, it's so hard for the brain to comprehend. Mm-hmm. But if someone can receive a support, like saying, hey, I love you, you changed my life. Like, please keep going. Please keep working on your dreams. Please keep on this path. Like, don't, keep going. Those are messages that people will listen to over and over again. And granted, as years pass by, you listen to it less and less and less and less. But when you need it, it's there. And so my hope is that it's last farewells can be as simple as life insurance. Like, you get life insurance. Not because, I'm going to die tomorrow, I need to get life insurance. No, I want my kids and my family to be protected if I'm gone. Yeah. So this is the same thing. It's emotional life insurance.
Yes. Emotional life insurance.
Yeah, it literally is.
I love that. Yeah. Oh my God, what a beautiful premise. And so last farewells, as of right now, where's the company at? What are the big goals for 2025? Like, what are you guys up to? What are you doing?
Yeah, so we...
that you can share?
We released our beta, so our beta platform's available, and I'm ready to share it out into the world. Like, not like super loudly, like, yeah, like we're sharing our beta for feedback. So we've been, connecting with hospice people who are at the end of life, who this is an immediate problem for them because they know they're going to pass away. But honestly, anybody can get on it. So really, if you go to lastfarewells.com, you can already create your free account. There's a free account. There's a premium version, but anybody can start creating their last messages. And the memorial page, let me shout this out because it's really cool. It's like your MySpace Facebook page in one, and you go in and you create yourself obituary, your last music playlist, your last bucket list, your last photo album, and that lives on. And so then instead of someone else creating something for you, yeah. Have you ever read an obituary? They're like, oh, she liked running and she survived by 1 million family members, and that's it. And that was it. And then they choose the worst photo that's on your WhatsApp or something. And you don't have control over that, but this is in a way like your last words, your bucket list that someone can look at and see, well, what was left? They want to climb Mount Everest, let me go climb in their honor. Like, last music playlist. I love music. Mariachis, I play my favorite song. That's on my last music playlist.
And it's like a cathartic exercise as well as the person being alive, like who is, I don't know how you strike up this conversation. Maybe we could talk about that. But like, let's say I gave my grandma this, right? It's such a beautiful thing for her then to review her own life and what she wants to share and how she wants to be remembered.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's like, why should anyone else do that for you? Like, this seems like just such a needed like gap in the global human experience. Not even the market, but it's like, it's so necessary because death is like one of the most difficult things that like a human can experience.
Yeah.
And that grief is so painful. I've experienced so much of it myself, and I'm happy to share some of those stories. But I mean, where I'll start is my mom, like growing up, she's always worked with elderly patients. So my mom's a nurse support worker for elderly in a long-term care facility, which is basically people who are going to die.
Yeah.
And she would be on the palliative floor.
Oh.
These people are literally about to clock out. And I remember like as a kid, like my mom would come home from work and just be so positive and bubbly. And I'm like, Mom, like, thought you work with like aren't people dying? She's like, yeah, like three people died. Like, but, I gave them so much love and we shared so many memories and we talked about their kids, and like, she would just share these like stories that these people at the end, their last breaths basically would share. And those lessons, like, they kind of stuck with me. But I was a kid, I didn't understand. I was like, wait, why don't you get another job? Like, this seems so morbid, but my mom was never negative about it, or she never like spoke about death and like this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It was just this just is. This just is.
First of all, that says a lot about your mom to me. So shout out to your mama. And that makes a lot of sense because of who you are. Your mama raised you, and look at this man.
Oh, thank you. I know she watches every podcast. Like,
shout out to you. What's your mom's name?
My mom's name is Parveen.
Parveen. I'm so proud of you. And you're in Canada, right?
Yes.
Love.
Thank you so much. Love you, Mom. Yeah, go ahead.
No, the cheerful aspect. I've always called myself a life enthusiast randomly. I've had in my bio for, I don't know, since Instagram started. It's like, I'm a life enthusiast. After death, like, death has caused me to think about life in a different way. It's spurred action for me to try to live a better life. Because now that I know time is, who knows? But 6 months ago, when I was in the process of testing the platform, I came across a person who's 38, terminal cancer, or got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and they wanted to, we were going to get them to use the platform, and I could have sent them the link. I decided not to just send them the link. I flew to them in Texas, and I created this whole day experience. I called it a Last Farewells experience. It was completely free for them. I just wanted to test something. I did a meditation ceremony. I made it like a birthday party. I got their favorite foods. We created 9 messages for them. They created a video for their son's future wedding. And then we did this little party, and then I used my connections in the travel industry. We got one of their bucket list items to be sponsored. They're going to go see the rocket space launch.
Oh my God.
Space Kennedy Center. And that was so fulfilling to me. But before I went, I told him, I said, hey, I know it's been hard, it's been sad. You are not going to see me cry. Like, yes, I'm very empathetic. I'm going to be sad about your situation. But what I can offer you right now is energy and joy and celebration.
And that's what you need right now.
That's what they need, because of course,
everyone
else
sad.
Everybody's already sad. So what can I do? It's like, let me bring that energy. I'll cry. I cried in the car.
Shit, yeah.
You can see me cry though.
I cry right now, but
so your mom it's the same thing. Like the people I met in this industry, I went to a deaf conference in November. It's called End Well. It's so beautiful. Everybody is extremely optimistic and beautiful and calm and centered. And those people are needed, because when you're already going through such a dark time, such a hard time, you know, you want people to empathize with you, but there's already enough people crying for you. So sometimes it's nice to just have, you know, joy. And I actually just signed up to be a volunteer at hospice, to be there with people at the end of their life. And just most people will have no one there who are signed up here. And so I'm going to be one of the last touch points that they have. And so I'm going to start that soon. But
wow,
it's all I have is energy. Like, I don't got much, but I got energy.
I commend you for this mission and everything that you built and are launching into the world. It's just going to change so many people's lives, and for the positive. And let's reframe death. I always told myself, if I just suddenly pass away, I've literally told Jamie this, I've texted some of my closest friends this, I'm like, man, if I do just get hit by a bus tomorrow or don't wake up tomorrow morning, then celebrate me.
Oh, yeah.
Let's turn up one last time. Like, let's go crazy, you know? Like, we're not going to just sit, you know, some people are going to be sad. Obviously, I'm amazing.
Yeah.
No, come on. I'm just kidding. But,
you are amazing.
But don't just like sit there in pity and grief. And although those are valid feelings and don't deny that, but man, like, brother died. Like, we're gonna celebrate this shit.
Do you know, I haven't told many people this, but my sunrise birthday, hid in the disguise, it was my celebration of life. 3 years ago, I wrote down, if on my 1 year death anniversary, if I wanted people to celebrate me, I literally wrote down, I want them to go to sunrise with music and food and strangers. So I wore all white to my sunrise birthday, but really I actually created my celebration of life. I literally it's like creating your funeral.
Yeah.
Except I created my celebration of life, and I got to experience it. And that's why I got mariachis. Like, I thought about it. I was like, should I ask someone to gift it to me? And say, you know what? No, I'm going to gift it to myself, because I want to sing one song on the beach with everyone. And I sing that song. And in that song, it says, there's con dinero o sin dinero, yo siempre hago lo que quiero. With money or without money, I always do what I want. And that is exactly how I've lived my life, because that's, you know, we can't get limited. We really can't. I think time is too short. So, yeah, I'm glad you started thinking about this. Tell me, though. I'll make sure your wishes are honored.
No.
And now we got the end of life planning platform. He's going to say it. You can leave a public last message on your memorial page. So that's going to be really the last touch point that people see. Like,
look,
hey, if you're watching,
you already got me signed up. I'm already thinking next level. Like, how can we get everybody signed up? Because I don't know how the platform works, or if you're ready to talk about that sort of stuff. Like,
oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Pricing, costs, like that.
Yeah,
that whole
accessible. That's the whole point of accessibility. It's super easy. You create it's a dashboard for last messages and memorial page. You nominate one person who's going to notify us of your passing. You can nominate up to 3, and then that person has to accept, so that way they know you have an account. And that's how when you get notified of your passing, they'll have to submit a death certificate and whatnot. But then you create your messages and you schedule them upon death, special day, or a specific milestone. And that's pretty much it. And pricing it's free. You can create up to 6 messages and a basic memorial page. And then the premium version, it's a one-time fee of $129. And right now I'm doing that because I don't want to alienate generations who don't believe they're going to die. Like, if I was 30, I wouldn't pay for subscription-based end-of-life thing, because I don't think I'm going to die. Even if it's $1 a year, psychologically, I'm going to think that's
and you don't want a reminder of that on your like monthly bill. That's smart.
Yeah. So there's different. I could go into the business side of things of how we're actually going to really monetize this, because this is an incredible industry. It's a $189 billion industry worldwide, end-of-life planning. So that's a different thing. But in terms of accessibility is super important, because I want people, like, my mom is still a housekeeper. She's never going to go to a lawyer. She's never going to do an estate planning because she doesn't think she has much. But I've convinced her now that, no, Mom, your words are just enough. And actually, I know someone who created a last farewells. They hadn't been speaking to their daughter in years. When they created that, when I said, hey, create a message, the first thing they did was apologize to their daughter. And now they're talking to their daughter. So changes can be made in your life, because I think when you sit down and you create these things, you remind yourself, like, what can I say now? Like, time is
that reflection.
You know how many people, when I did my research, when I interviewed people who lost someone, 80% of the people I researched felt bad, the left off guilt, because they didn't end off in the right place with the loved one that passed away. They left off with anger. Same with my dad, like same thing. And they've always felt that guilt. And so this is, in a way, like just a reminder that, can we choose to forgive now? Can we choose to change things now? Or even like if you're stuck at a dead end job, if you're around people you don't want to be, like this is a checkpoint when you're thinking.
Yeah, because I think we go weeks, months, years without even like thinking of that uncomfortable thought of death, right? And so if we can bring that back to the forefront, accept it, make friends with it, and celebrate it before we die, I think that makes for a way more fulfilling life, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
My dad, 10 years after he passed away, his funeral was so basic, I hated it. I was like, dang, this is not personalized to him at all. But I went back 10 years later to Nicaragua, and I made it plane themed, because he'd always dreamed of being a pilot. So I literally got custom banners of planes. I made it all like pilot themed. I got mariachis. I got his favorite food. And I did a celebration of like 10 years later after he passed. And I brought back our family together. And it was just really nice to build that community and remember someone in a celebratory way. So it's never, if you've lost someone, it's genuinely never too late to celebrate them, because you're still like, people only get, there's a quote in Spanish, but people only get forgotten when people only get forgotten when you don't remember them anymore. So as long as you keep remembering, if you've seen the movie Coco, it's one of my favorites on Disney. Incredible movie about Day of the Dead, and just to continue remembering people so that way they never get forgotten.
So, Estrella, with that being said, do you feel like your father is still watching over you? Do you feel that? Like actually though, like what are your feelings? Do you believe in that? Like no judgment either way, just
I believe I have confirmations to be on this journey with last farewells. One, he left me a last voicemail, but there's also a last note that he left 20 years ago, and it says, "So you can remember me forever." And he wrote it in a photo album, and I found it at my grandparents' home a couple years ago. I'd never seen it. My dad mailed that in the 90s, this photo album. And then when you open it, it says, "So you can remember me forever." So to me, I have this last photo album, this last message in a way.
It's almost like he founded this company.
I know. And we laughed with my co-founder, because a lot of people think it was my idea. It was my co-founder's idea. And when we got reconnected, and when my co-founder found out about my dad's last voicemail, like years later, I was in Nicaragua, my grandpa was dying, and I had an idea. I wanted to start a celebration of life events company so that they could make money, a small business. So I remember Troy had talked about last farewells years ago. And so I asked him, "Hey, Troy, it's been years. Can I get some advice on starting this business?" And 5 minutes into that call, he hears my idea. He's like, "That's a great idea, but why don't you revive Last Farewells? You know, it's been on standstill. It was just a side project. Why don't you come back in, reimagine it, redo it, and just do it?" And I was like so shocked, because he just offered me his company in a way. Like he already had all these designs and these layouts and these wireframes, and he just offered me to take it on. And I thought about it for a few months, and then a year and a half of thinking about it and trying to do it on the side, I decided to quit my stable job and do this full time so that I really could commit to it. And I took a lot of risk, obviously financially and mentally and emotionally, but I know that it's with a higher purpose. So when you ask me if I feel my dad, not necessarily that I feel like him right next to me or presence or and whatnot, but I feel like I keep getting signs from God and him to keep going. Even when I ask, like, wait, is this really my purpose, God? Like, is this really my purpose? I keep getting signs and confirmations. And actually, just a week ago, I found out I had an uncle, my dad's younger brother, who drowned when they were crossing the Rio Grande border in Texas. So they were crossing from Nicaragua to Mexico, and he drowns in the border. My mom was with this younger brother. Right before leaving to cross the border, he went to the post office and wrote 28 letters. And then he mails them, and then he drowns and he dies. And on the 9th day of mourning, all these letters come in. I just found out I had a direct last farewell story. Like, so now my uncle did this. He created his messages, didn't know he's going to pass away. And then these messages get delivered during the funeral, during the mourning. And it was like hearing from him again. And it was messages like, "I love you. I'm always going to be taking care of you." Oh. So that's a sign. Like just a couple weeks, I was like, I don't know. I get a sign. I didn't know this about my uncle. I knew he died. I didn't know he had gone literally to the post office and created these letters. So I just keep getting all these signs and confirmations. And I really do know that I'm meant to be on this journey and taking it as far as I can. And obviously it is hard. I grew up first gen. I grew up poor. My network is completely from me. I got myself to university. I got, myself into rooms. And now, luckily, I think what's come about it, the only thing I can do is I offer energy. And luckily, when you build on your good energy, like I told you, I was really shy. I worked really hard on myself. And now I gave up alcohol because I just didn't want to rely on anything to make me who I already am inside. So that has helped me get into rooms. That has helped me network. That has helped me attract people like you into my life that invite me into this amazing podcast. Do we see the setup? Can we? Hey, he really curated this. So y'all, please look at this, okay?
Thank you.
Anyways, so now it's brought me here, and I couldn't be more grateful. So yeah, I do feel him in the sense especially when I'm in doubt, I do feel like I get confirmations from him. Like he's my angel. He's looking after me.
It's beautiful. I think your energy is contagious. For sure. Like, I can't be in a bad mood around you. Even if I am, even if things are going bad, I feel very uplifted. But that's free. Like, doesn't matter how poor you are, how rich you are, what you have, what's going on, what's not. It is a choice. Like you said, like you worked on that. And I'd love to hear how you did that. But, everyone has that choice, and a lot of people choose the opposite, and that can affect the world. The butterfly effect of that is crazy. So I believe that energy is transferred. It's not just a neutral exchange. It's always giving or taking, and there's always some kind of electric charge that's being exchanged. So
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that a little bit, because I want to, how can people who maybe might feel like a little bit more introverted or in their shell, or like not as bubbly and positive, how do you work on that?
Well, I think what really changed my perspective, I was 17 and I watched this documentary called The Secret, and I learned about the law of attraction and manifesting. And I said, and to me, it was a way of hope. And I think that's what it was. There was hope that, hey, I could get out of the situation. Granted, I was always driven in a way. I have this letter I wrote to myself when I was 11 years old that says, do not open on graduation day, like until you're 18. And when I opened it, it said, Estrella, please make sure that you went to the University of Texas at Austin and graduated in the top 10% of high school, and that you got a full ride. Don't be lazy. Give your first paycheck to your parents, and, keep helping them. Like, don't slack. I'm 11 years old writing this. So I always had like that sense, like education, the way out, the almost like climb the corporate ladder or whatever. But with The Secret, it really taught me that you don't necessarily have to work as hard. Hard work is important, but it's also where you put your energy and what you're thinking. So I had really tried to practice on the thoughts that I was thinking of myself. And I think that kind of shifted my thing. So that documentary really put a lot of things into perspective. But really over the years, what I found is that when you go above and beyond when you just genuinely I get so much excitement in hearing people's stories and like how I can help you in a way without being a people pleaser. You can't be a people pleaser, but when you do things out of like, because of excitement and sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. What was the question?
No, we were just talking about
if someone's not as
like, how can you work on improving your energy and like how positive you are all the time and like bubbly. If someone, they're feeling introverted or they're just feeling like small, or they got things going on in their life, which we all do.
Oh, okay.
How do you break out of that shell and turn into the person you are today?
Yeah. So I have a rule for me. If I'm ever feeling that way, or whenever I was feeling shy or this, I really try to do like, what's one bold move or one bold thing I can do, or what's something out of the ordinary that I can do. So even now, you can be, I don't want to, on introvertedness, that's a whole thing. Like,
right. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. I felt that while I was saying that, but
if you feel like it's not possible, like, yeah, of course, you're not going to feel like if it's possible when you're constantly thinking of all the things that can go right. But right now I just focus like, what's my superpower? Because of course, I don't know a lot of things. I don't know a lot about financials or legals or tech or whatever, but I know my strengths are like, hey, it is people, it is relationships. So I need to double down on that, on what is working, and then really accept the help that's coming in from the opposite. But energetic wise, I think now just being really self-aware and choosing like, hey, if I'm relying on something to force me to be confident, it's not sustainable. And it's going to be really hard to kind of take away those vices in a way. So I've really worked hard on like what am on my thought process, like like alcohol was one thing I removed. I'm trying to remove caffeine. I'm trying to remove anything that's really just
external.
That I think I need. That I think is the most important. I think I need this to be this. So I think removing those things has brought a lot of self-awareness into my life. But above that, building last farewells, I read a lot of articles and like, this is how you build a company. This is this and this way. And I was trying to fit the mold. I spent hours on my documents of creating all these pretty Google Docs. And I realized, wow, this is not me. Like, this is not how I'm going to build a company at all. So personally, I think if someone is struggling with this, it's like, how are you going to do it in your magical way of being?
In your way.
In your way. Like my way, I realized being outside. Like that working, let's be in rooms, because things happen when you bring your energy to other people. People want to help you. You help them in a way, but it's never through expectation. It's never through like I'm doing something for you. Yeah, it's not transactional. I think the best thing that we can gift is our energy, but with no expectation. Same thing with my birthday. Like that was my gift to a way of people, but there was no expectation for people to show up or even like, be anything or do anything. And I think that in turn, it brings a lot back. So my really big advice for anyone is, I would say, that's a hard one actually.
Well, you already did say the biggest thing there is really just no, it was like the self-awareness of vices and things that you're using to kind of fake confidence or whatever. But then
I got it actually. Yeah, I do. And it came to me. Yes. The biggest thing I realized most recently too, when I was creating Last Farewells, a lot of it was coming from guilt, fear, anxiousness, of like, am I doing this right? Am I spending my money, my investors' money right? That I could never create something good coming from a place of those emotions. And so my best creation comes from when I am experiencing joy. When I am talking to people, I get joy. When I dance, I feel joy. When I feel joy, I need to tap into that momentum and then create from there, because then I feel more confident. Then I feel more bolder. Just the other day, I went to a Cuban coffee shop and they were playing salsa music and I started dancing with the employee there. We're like, let's dance. And you know what, dude? I made some incredible emails. I shot my shot to some awesome people who are going to help me move the business. That would have never happened at home when I'm like doubting myself or constant thing. It's really a change of environment and change of people around you, because I'm constantly inspired by you. I met him by chance, and now I see the stories and I'm aligning. And when I'm with you, I feel, oh my gosh, anything's possible. I can make anything happen.
Let's go.
So that's what it is. If you are feeling like nothing's possible right now, you need to then change your environment and change your space and go hang around these people and go walk where we're like by the beach. I don't know, even just around tourists. I love being around tourists because they are actively there. They've spent their money there. They're in a different vibration. So I always walk to touristy spots just because I feed off that energy when I am low. Nice. When I am low, I force myself to go out to where tourists
Interesting.
I majored in tourism, by the way.
It's so different than so many people are always hating on tourists and to speaking negatively about them. And like, I've always found that like you've traveled a lot, I've traveled a little bit.
Yeah.
I went on an international exchange when I was in college. Cool. So I studied in Norway. So I went all around Europe and stuff. It was so fun. But
you understand?
Yeah, I get it, and I've been a little, I've gone to some places, not 40 countries in 3 years or whatever you did, but I've experienced a little bit of that, and my biggest like takeaway is just being able to connect with people and feed off their energy and the cultural experiences and all that sort of stuff. Because this taught me so much about who I am. Yeah, and stepping out of my own frame of like what I know. And everyone would always talk about, oh, like don't go there, it's like touristy. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, like, okay, well, probably, but I'm a tourist. Yeah. Like I'm literally like there's probably a reason, because it's so awesome. Like, sure, there's big lineups and people pedaling and all this like crazy stuff. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it is cool. Like I appreciate that perspective. Yeah. And then what you were saying before, I think like my biggest, if I boil down, obviously you had some amazing tips in there, but like for me, what I apply to myself there is like not being so married to the outcome. Oh. I think you do a really good job of like actually enjoying the journey and process. And obviously the nature of what you do and the story of everything, like I think it brings a certain groundedness and appreciation for this life experience that's happening right now. Yeah. And so I think that frame of mind and it creates your being. And so I really appreciate that perspective.
Oh yeah. You're such a great person. I love him. Oh, I love him. Yeah, energy is so important, and you came out into that car like you accepted I love cranking up music when I like people are coming. It's just, I don't know, I like it. I'm like, you sing, I sing. But you also came, you were dressed as a pirate, right? You were
Yeah.
Who were you?
I think that day I was a football player. That day for Halloween.
Well, the football player.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. The football player. But I'll never forget that meeting. I appreciate you reciprocating that energy because that's really important too.
100%.
Oh man, I had a thought from that. Oh, we're talking about tourist energy. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
All good. It'll come back.
Yeah.
But I really love.
Oh wait, no, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Perfect.
I did. The Third Door by Alex Banayan. That book changed my life in a way because it's creating doors that don't exist. And you know, when you don't have a network, when you don't have, you know, people who are like, in a way, yes, I was given an opportunity, but what did I have to do to get there? One, I had to take a risk and take out student loans to go travel.
Created it.
Two, yeah, I had to then take that and put it in a portfolio and sell myself. Three, I had to propose it to someone and say, can you create this internship for me? I can do this, this, and this. And four, I made it easy for them. They accepted because I showed them what I could be. So opening those doors, when you feel like you don't have, oh, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. Like you can get in those doors. It might be harder if you don't have that network, but I think that is also how you change your energy because then you're in spaces where people have done incredible things and you're like, what did I do to get here? I have no idea. But that book, if I had to recommend it for anyone, it's incredibly life-changing. Do you know David Goggins?
Yeah.
I got him to call my ex for his birthday, and it was, to me, like, how did I do that, right? It was a cold email. It was a cold email that I wrote because my ex was joking. I said, what do you want for your birthday? And he's like, I want David Goggins. And I said, all right, but I don't know. I have zero connections to this man, David Goggins. I wrote an email and I proposed. I said, David Goggins, if you just spend 1 hour with him, I will run 100 miles. I will sell 100 of your books. I'll volunteer 100 hours of yours at your nonprofit. Like, can you please just say yes? And, you know, I found this girl who worked at his company. I forwarded it to her, and turns out that was his girlfriend. And she loved what I was trying to do. So she's like, hey, we can't meet in person, but he can call him. So then on his birthday, no caller ID comes up. And he's all like, hello, who's this? Oh, this is David Goggins, bro. It's like, what? It's like, yeah. Hey, your girlfriend, she loves you really. Oh, man, you better buy some flowers. And that just, to me, is when I had to share that story because I never posted it out anywhere. But like, I had to share it because it just shows like how, to me, David Goggins, he called one of the toughest motherfuckers alive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't care about social media, doesn't care about anything. I was able somehow through an email and through will and grit, able to get him to make a phone call. And it was free. And I didn't have to, you know, they didn't make me do any of the things that I proposed. But I just think that same concept of energy is what I'm trying to apply to Last Farewells. End of life planning, creating a corporate company. I don't have to do it in a corporate way. I can get to people, get to organizations that just really feel what we're trying to build. And yeah, I think it's just the same energy I do in my personal life, applying it to professional. So that was that book, The Third Door, Alex Banayan. That shows how you open doors that are not there.
That's so special because I always just call that like alchemy or just creating something out of nothing or turning an idea just into reality. But that visualization of the third door, I could just, it's like etched into my brain now before even reading that book. Is like, we all think it's A or B, but then there could be door C.
Oh, yeah.
You could just have to create it. And you literally did that with the internship and getting David Goggins and the millions of other things that you've probably done and will do just because you're willing to refuse. Like, there's thinking outside of the box and then there's refusing the box. There's no box.
But there's doing it in a way that's being so considerate of these people.
That's right.
I think being considerate is the biggest strength anyone can have because you're considerate of what these people, their time and what they're going to consume from you. Like, you have to be considerate and do it in a way where it doesn't feel like you just want something from them. Like, what is she giving? My whole life, all I know is how to give. And now I'm finally like, okay, well, like, it's time to receive. But like, I think when you know how to give and just give so honestly and hopelessly, like, you know what? I want to live every day like I'm foolishly in love. I think I saw that recently. I said that to myself. Like, when you're at the beginning of stages of love, it's so like cute. It's so like this and that. And I think that's the same way that it can help so much in business. Because when you're foolishly in love, you believe anything's possible. And you really just got to believe.
I will say, shout out to my business partner, Jamie. I think he is very much the person who is that, not to say that I have none of this, but he's the one who is just insanely optimistic and almost aloof in like some of the downside risks of things and whatnot. And it's just always just, we'll be in some fucked up situations. We're down. we're not in a good spot, right? And I'll be stressing, freaking out, just trying to figure it all out and come up with a plan. And Jamie will just look at me and just be like, bro, like I got it. Like it's all going to be okay. And I'll just come up with like some idea that I don't think relates at all. But then 7 months later, I'll be like, hey man, you were right.
Yo,
Like-
shout out to Jamie. Guys, Jamie is magical. Has Jamie been on the podcast? Did I miss that episode?
He is.
Okay, well, Jamie needs to come back on again and teach them.
We are
I spoke at
overdue for an episode.
Oh, yeah. Jamie has a bunch of synchronicities. I'm looking at him right now. Jamie, you're close out.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I love most that he's like introduced into my life is a synchronicity journal of
Yep.
actually documenting it
Yep.
and writing time, place, and like the actual memory and even like an emotion that's tied to it. And it's like going back and reviewing that year after year, it's this powerful exercise. I don't do it as much as he does, but I definitely do it. And it kind of primes your brain to start like not just discounting things as coincidence. It's like, no, like this is divine.
Confirmation.
Yeah.
Confirmation that you're meant to be here or something's going to happen and it's supposed to happen. There's been so many synchronicities. And that's what it comes to when last words when you asked me, did I feel my dad's presence? Well, in a way, I got confirmations. Those are the synchronicities.
Yes.
Incredible. Even I don't want to say where you live, but your apartment number is 11. And I literally told you, I'm like, hey, 1111, that's my number. So confirmation, synchronicity right here.
We already knew it was going to be a fire pod before it even started. Yeah, no, I mean, look, going back on the theme of death, not to make, the podcast doom and gloom, but like, I definitely do want to talk about some experiences that I've had that have like really stayed with me. So there's this one story, the first time I actually dealt with like actual death of somebody I know and love, right? I've known about people who died, but I wasn't close to them or whatever growing up. And it's just kind of this concept that they were there and then they weren't there, but I didn't know them. So, whatever, right? But I remember I'm in high school and I go to India and, I'm Indian, obviously. And my grandfather, he wasn't in the best health, but we thought he had a couple years left. Like, he wasn't like dying or sick or anything. He just wasn't in the best health. And I remember going to India one summer, and I went with one of my cousins, and we went there, and I had a great time. It was 3 weeks. Like, it's not my favorite travel destination. I mean, it's family, which is great, but it's not like I'm traveling.
Yeah,
like that.
you're not. Yeah,
you're going back home.
Yeah.
So I remember I'm there. My trip is set to be 3 weeks, and my grandpa was like fine. Like it was cool to see him. I had a good time, whatever. And then the day I'm set to leave from this trip, like literally my flight is that day. I wake up or I don't wake up. My grandma wakes me up and she's like, your grandpa, like he's not good. Like you need to come right now. And I get up and I run and he's kind of like lifeless and he's still breathing, but he's not like, it's not looking too good. So I'm just like, man, I'm like 15, like I'm like 14 or 15 years old. I'm like, oh man, what do I do? Like, I guess called the ambulance. It's India. It's not going to come fast.
Yeah.
And it's a big city, but it's a big city. So it's like, it's going to take time. So I don't know what happened, but basically we got in a car and we drove to the hospital. And I remember he's very skinny, like extremely skinny. I remember picking him up. I couldn't pick him up. Like he was like dead weight, for lack of a better word. Yeah. Like he was like not helping me pick him up as you do. And I'm like, man, like.
How old are you?
I was like 14.
Wow.
I'm like, man, like he's not like, he's heavy. Like this is hard. I remember carrying him, putting him in the car, sitting in the back of the car, and my cousin, she's older than me, but she's freaking out, crying, hysterical. We get to the hospital and they're all just taking their sweet ass time and I'm trying to like scream at people in a language I don't speak very well. I was like, guys, like get like let's get him like come on, like some attention. Like they're like taking it easy, whatever. You know, long story short, or this part of the story at least, yeah, he passed away like there and then. And in the Indian culture, or in Hinduism at least, which I grew up as, you like the custom is you take the body home with you.
Yeah.
You don't like it's not a morgue. You're not it's not like what I grew up watching TV, because I grew up in Canada. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
So we just happened to be born in India and had this background. I'm like, man, like what? Like, we're bringing him. What do you mean we're bringing him home? It's like, yeah, like funeral arrangements start immediately, and like this is how it works.
Day after, yeah.
Same day, and I'm like, what? I need to process this death. Like, this is crazy to me. What are you talking about? And but because of how the culture is set up, it's patriarchal society. I'm the eldest male heir to the throne.
King.
In this scenario, because my dad's not there and my dad's older brother is not there.
Wow.
Because my dad's older brother is in Norway and my dad is in Canada. And obviously, I call them. I'm pretty distraught, but I'm not like crying. I'm just like, I kind of have to step into like responsibility.
You're a leader.
I learned so much about my religion, like, and all these customs and crazy things you have to do. I felt so uncomfortable, but I just had to step up, and like hundreds of people are pouring in, and all this family I've never met that I don't even know. It's like coming, trying to take care of things. We got priests doing rituals.
Wow.
And we got my grandpa's dead body laying down like right there in the living room. Dead. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, they like cover him up and stuff, but like we had to do rituals with his dead body, and like it was like surreal to me. And that was like a really tough thing for me, the 14-year-old who already struggled with, like, I asked a lot of critical questions about the religion that didn't make sense to me, but this pushed me over the edge. I was like, you're not going to let me grieve? Like, you're not going to let me go process this? Like, I got to do all these things. And I remember I called my dad, and I'd never heard my dad cry. Yeah, so I'm dealing with all this, and I'm like, man, this is just crazy. Like, I don't get to really process it. But anyways, I call my dad. They get on whatever flight they could get on, and one day or 2 days later, my dad and his brother, his eldest brother, and two older sisters, my dad's the youngest, all come. And I finally feel like my burden is relieved. I'm 14. Let me my cousin, like, God bless her, she's just hysterically crying through this whole process. And I'm happy that she got to do that. And I'm not saying she did nothing, but a lot of it I had to like really like
at 14
do, because it's like you actually have to perform the rituals. Like,
wow.
The eldest son or closest to has to perform the rituals. I'm performing rituals for hours. Felt like days. And on a dead body that I just found out is dead. I'm like, this is all so crazy to me.
And were you close to your grandpa?
Yes, I was close to him. So he was a headmaster. So he's like a principal of a school, and he's very, very strict on education. So he talked about that before, and I was like, oh, like I can definitely relate. Like, my upbringing is like, it's about education. That is the way out. That is the way to excel. And, so when he passed and whatnot, then everyone came, and I remember like you cremate the body like that next day, and like actually put it in a bunch of wood and like watch the body burn.
Did your brother and your uncle come in time for that?
At that point, they did arrive for that. So luckily I didn't have to do that part alone, because this was like a lot for me to process at once. And it's my first time, and it's someone like I love, and like, always, been, the number one thing you'd ask, most of our conversations were centered around like my grades and how I'm doing in school. And like, I was fine with that because I was crushing it. Like, I did well in school back then. But man, it was just a lot. And why I tell that story is not because of this part. So he was old. He was gonna die, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't a matter of like if, it was when, right? And it was like, we knew he wasn't in the best health. He had diabetes. He had like health conditions. His eye was not, one eye was not working. Like, was not in the best shape, but man, we thought he was all right. But when the family all came together, I felt this like weird joy and comfort in, well, hey, at least everyone's together. Like this family, they see each other, but maybe once every 3 or 4 years, like not often, right? Because they live on different parts of the world. Everyone's doing their own thing. Like, oh, it's busy. It's life, right? But this was a moment that brought everyone together, and unfortunately, it had to be centered around death. My dad's older brother, he was my favorite uncle. My favorite uncle. So he was in his 50s, and like not late 50s, like early 50s, and he was the cool unc. So he was that uncle who always just like he was just always lived life to the maximum. And he just always just like he wore leather jackets, he ate meat. We're Hindu, we're not even supposed to eat meat. He'd be like, nah man, live life, travel, like enjoy, like life is about living and like it to the max. And I remember being a kid like loving his philosophy on life. And I had gotten to travel with him a few times with my family, and like he's just always the cool unc, like just so peak cool guy. And so I was like, well, silver lining, I get to chill with cool unc. Like he's here, like this is awesome. And so we're all there for like a couple days, and then everyone has to get back to their life. And so we live in Punjab, in a city called Ludhiana. And it's about 7-hour drive to the biggest airport in India, which is New Delhi, the capital city. And that's always a drive. And, they're not going to send me alone. My dad had to, I don't know if he had to leave earlier or later, or I had to go back because school was starting or something like that. And Unc was like, well, I have to leave too. So let's go fly together. And I remember taking, I remember like, even as a kid, I was a little on the bougier side. I was like, hey man,
I can picture it.
why do we need to like take a shitty taxi or something for 8 hours?
The tuk-tuks are like...
Yeah, no, it's not like we would take that for that long a distance, okay. But even still just like a taxi, like a hired car or anyone. Why do we gotta do that? I want to go in comfort. Like I want to like, he's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, why don't we take like a not a party bus, but like a really nice like luxury Greyhound type thing, right? And that existed. I knew that it existed. I was like pushing for it. He's like, all right. And again, cool unc. So he was like, done. That's what we're doing. And my dad's like, no, we don't need to do all that. And then he was like, okay, he's been through a lot. Like, let him. Oh yeah. Let's do it.
After what you...
And I was so excited because I'm like, dude, I get some one-on-one time with one of my favorite family members. And I was like, unc, like, the only thing, like, I really want, because we don't get to see each other. Like, it's like every 5-6 years I get to see you. Like, I was a child when you saw me last. I'm still a child, but to me, I'm 14. I'm like, I'm big now, Can we, like, get dinner or something? And he's like, yeah, well, let's get dinner when we get to the airport. We'll go to the airport and I got you. Whatever you want, we'll have it. I'm like, sick. I remember on the bus ride, every time I had stopped, he was complaining. He was complaining about like a chest pain. And I was like, oh, like what's wrong? Like you good? He's like, it's nothing. Like do you have any aspirin on you? I'm like, I'm 14. Why would I have aspirin on me? But I didn't. And he was like, oh no, that's fine. It's nothing. It's just some gas, like some like acidity. Like I'll be fine. I'm like, all right, whatever. Get to the airport, And he was like, kid, I have bad news. My flight is actually a lot earlier than yours and earlier than I expected. It's kind of already boarding. I can't have that dinner with you. I'm sorry. Like, you gotta, you're good on your own. I traveled there alone and whatever. Like, it was all good. But
That's really impressive, actually. You traveled there by yourself?
yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
But man, I just remember being so crushed, so devastated. I'm like, no, dude, can't you just take another flight? Like, you're just
Yeah.
it's like, no, like I gotta go. But hey, we'll do dinner next time I see you. I owe you like 5 dinners. Like, I'll cook up some, chicken on the grill, and like we'll have a good time. We'll hang out. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. And it goes, and fast forward like a week later, and my dad, I'm back in Canada now, and I'm sleeping. It's like the middle of the night. My dad comes into my room and he's bawling his eyes out. And I'm like, I've never seen my dad like this. Even when his dad died, I didn't see that many tears. And he's like, my brother, he's dead. And I'm like, no. In this succession, like in a week apart, like how? What happened? And he passed away from a heart attack. And
How old was he?
it's like 53 or 54, something like that. Yeah. And he left behind 2 beautiful daughters, my cousins. I love them to death. And I went a few years ago to my cousin's wedding. And that one really hit hard, because that felt more like a tragedy.
Yeah.
That maybe you felt.
Oh, yeah.
Would you have
I'm literally feeling
passing?
I'm literally, what hit me right now is the feeling that you're saying, that it's your dad comes in crying.
Yeah. That's his like best friend. That's his mentor. That's who he grew up with.
Yeah. But when the moment you find out, and I think you saying that just took me back to the moment I found out. I found out in class. I got pulled out to the front office. Yeah. They're crying. My mom and my brother are crying, and I said, "What happened?" And Maury like stress shock, because you see someone, right? And you're like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Your dad is dead. In this case, your uncle's dead." It's just like a shock, and then I just literally burst crying on the floor. I'll never forget like that moment. So that moment of when it's sudden and you get that first news, there's nothing more heartbreaking, to be honest, because it's just so shocking. And then
you can relate, and this person who, to me, my dad is supposed to be the strongest person I know, is like on his knees wailing, crying.
Brother.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Not
like,
supposed to be that early. They're
supposed to
have a couple more decades.
So many. We're supposed to grab that dinner.
You're supposed to grab the 5 dinners.
The 5 dinners. And that one really hit me hard. And seeing my dad, and obviously, became stoic after that. He
was his only brother?
That was his only brother. And, that really tremendously impacted my life. My grandfather dying was a shock, because we weren't expecting it that soon, but it made sense. It like not to say that any death is good or bad or anything, but it's like, you lived your life. You raised 4 kids who have kids. There's
more gratitude in a way, because hey, they lived this long, they did what they had to do, and now they're at peace and they're partying with people that they love as well, up wherever.
Exactly. And so that was tremendously, difficult for me, just in terms of like, man, I had his leather jacket that he gave me. I remember one day I was like, he had this cool, dope brown leather jacket. And I was like, man, I really like your leather jacket. And he was like, literally took it off and gave it to me. He was that uncle. Like, like that, like, you can just tell, like, he was this cool guy.
I feel like I didn't know your uncle, but I feel like you've become your uncle.
Oh, I absolutely.
That's what I'm feeling.
I try my best to live the way that guy lived, and despite the tragedy of him leaving earlier than we would have hoped, I believe he lives on through us, and all of his philosophies and how he went about life, I very much want to model my life.
Wow.
And with that, and I brought this in here because we're talking about my grandpa, and this is, we're talking about last farewells. This is something that he gave me, and this was a dictionary, and his whole thing was, this dictionary, I believe, was given to him, and he literally learned the English language by just flipping through and learning like a different word.
Can I see it?
Yeah, please.
Wow.
And you could just tell how much history that thing has. And it's one of my most cherished possessions. Anywhere in the world that I set my home base, this is coming with me. And you see, like, it doesn't even have covers anymore. It's like some card that they shape-shifted onto it. But
this is confirmation. Birds are my spirit animal, specifically pigeons, but the Last Farewell's logo is a dove.
oh,
So we got confirmation right here. Proof there's synchronicity. This is incredible.
more
This is so beautiful. I'm so glad you had this. This is incredible. And it kind of puts into perspective, like, you know, right now, the fire in California, like how many people lost possessions like this that are physical possessions of reminders, or even like you have that leather jacket from your uncle. Like these things, they mean more to us. And I also have the last thing my grandpa gave to me was a 50-year-old book that he used to learn how to play the guitar. And he signed it for me. And I have a video of him signing it for me.
No.
But I'm from my granddaughter, Estrella. And so now my bucket list goal is I need to learn how to play the guitar. I have this 50-year-old guitar book in Spanish. But those things, like I have it literally on a bookshelf. So special, so special. Thank you for letting me hold this. But this is
of course.
incredible. Like your grandpa literally held this, used it to learn English. Like this belongs in your family museum.
Oh yeah,
1,000,000,000%. And I hope you can always preserve it and lose it.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things. Thank you. About this is you mentioned like I very much do model my life after his, and I love his philosophy and everything. But I believe that what he left behind, beyond two beautiful daughters, my cousins, and
You said one of them got married recently?
one of them got married, and I have another story around that I could
another
tell.
got there?
Yeah, well,
no.
yeah, I have another story about that. But you know, what I was trying to say here is like his way of being. I never really connected it with like my travel story, but so much of my travel is modeled on how he went about it. And me even going to Norway, like I had a million options of places I could go study. I went there because I have, side story, I have a bunch of family in Norway.
Oh.
I don't know why. Half of us Indians came to Canada, the other, I don't know. So, but they lived in Oslo, and I went and studied in a city called Bergen, which was a healthy 8-hour distance away.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shaped me because that exchange was my birth. Like me, first time not living at home with my parents, making my own decisions, living in my own place, like doing what I want. And so much of that came from him. And so, you know, my grandpa and my uncle, who unfortunately passed away, I am grateful for, you know, it's a controversial and weird thing to kind of say that. Like, I'm grateful that they passed, but I'm grateful that I got to enjoy them being alive and really, really like soak in who they are as people. Wow. and make that a part of who I am.
That's so beautiful. We have so many synchronicities. And actually what you just said, I call it the saddest gift I've ever received. It's the saddest gift because it is a gift. Their death was a gift to us because it caused us to a chain reaction of things that we had to do differently. We had to live differently. And that it is sad, but it's a gift. Yeah. So I always tell people like that. My dad died, and those voicemails, they are the saddest gifts I've ever received, but they've changed your life completely. There's a quote I love, and I've said it for many years, but we all have two lives, and the second one starts when you realize you only have one. And to me, like the moment my dad passed away and I went and experienced Nicaragua for the first time and saw his death, that was the moment my second life started because I completely changed. And I think for you with your uncle, like though you take those actions, you're not as scared. You live through their spirit. My dad, he was 22 when he decided to leave Nicaragua and take everyone and cross the border. And he was a coyote, which is people who go back and forth and transport, you know, immigrants into the U.S. So he'd gone back and forth. And I'm thinking, like, how did this man, like, cross hundreds of people, go back willingly through something really hard, through the Rio Grande, through the river? Yeah. And at that age, at 23, and have courage to, you know, leave everything, go in a new place, find jobs, you know, make it for his family in a way, or try his best. And then here I am, like, with all the, like, I think I have it hard when I'm trying to build a startup. And I think, I'm like, what do you mean? I came from one of the most courageous men I think to ever exist. Yeah. And I'm scared. That's crazy. You know why? Because in my bloodline, no, my genes come from him. And for you, your uncle too, your spirit. Yeah. Your uncle was probably really generous. Imagine, you're generous.
Yeah.
You're generous. You taking people. You live, and I think that's we really were so lucky that we had these experiences with death. And I think the sad part for me for Last Farewells is realizing that I can tell you a million times how important this is. Sometimes you're really just not going to get it until you go through it. Sometimes you really have to experience that death of a loved one that's close, or a friend, or whoever so close, for you to really realize the importance of this. And sometimes, like, my hope is that I can get people before it has to happen that way, because that is traumatic. That does change us, and it's especially the sudden deaths. So the death of your uncle, like, those sudden deaths are the ones that are so hurtful, and the ones that like really just shock you. Because if you have time with someone, if you see obviously like someone with an illness, you can have time to say your words and make peace. But those sudden deaths are the ones I think really radicalize us in a way, because they really make us change everything.
Yeah, and like you talk about that other type of death. I mean, my grandpa on my mom's side had a stroke a couple years ago, and he's just basically been hooked up to machines and is a vegetable.
That's hard too.
And I owe that man my whole life. He is the reason why my mom was able to come to Canada with me. He scraped the few dollars that he had with his tiny little tailoring business. We're talking a tiny little shop in this tiny city in India where I was born, Kanna, India. That's where I'm born. He had this little shop, and he scraped enough money for my family to come to Canada. And my mom lived on welfare in Vancouver, Canada, and took care of me. But with the little money that my grandfather gave her, and the dream, and my mom had me when she was 18. So she's a child. Right?
Shout out to your mama. Resilience. It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I just appreciate those sacrifices so much. And I think that's something that death reminds us so much, but let's not forget to hug and show love to people who are alive now too.
Oh yeah.
I think that that's something that I try to keep with me as much as possible, and it's only a lesson that I learned through death. Very similar to breakups, right?
Yeah.
You talk to someone who's never been through one ever, and it's like you have an idea of like what that heartache and pain feels like. You don't really know till you go through it. I always thought when people would break up, before I had gone through it, oh well, like, just move on. So many fish in the sea. Like, you'll be all right. Like, it's objectively not that big of a deal. Like, it sucks, I'm sure. Take your time. But I was so oblivious to like, oh no, this feels like a death. It is a death, but the person's still alive, and I can check their Instagram.
I can see their move. No, death. Listen, now that I've worked in the end of life industry, and that's death by actually someone dying, I'm also in the grief industry, because I think Last Farewells helps with grief. It's something that can help comfort your grief or heal your grief throughout this period of time, because it's something that is personalized to you, and you just always have it. But during this process of launching a startup, I went through a breakup, and it was almost a 4-year relationship, and it was one of the deepest relationships. It was really freaking deep.
It was that deep.
I love this human to death. I want him to live an incredible life. But it was so hard, because then my whole life I'm here trying to do something hard, which is launch a startup, and I'm also simultaneously going through a breakup that made me settle back in Miami. I experienced life in Canada. I came back, and my whole world turned upside down in a way, because you're grieving, and that grief, I thought about it. It was almost as deep in a way as because I had a rocky relationship with my dad, and that's 11 years ago. But to go through a relationship where somebody's been your best friend, your number one supporter, you've helped each other, all these memories, all this love, all this thing, and then to have like, even if it's mutual, like, those things end, it's still so hard to get it. Like, that was a different type of grief that I don't even wish on anyone. No, because your whole reality
I compare it to death, and like,
it was
not to say it's one's worse, but I think I might say that it might feel harder because there's not a final aspect to it, right? That on paper, and what you've discussed and what you both have decided, or one of you have decided, whatever the situation may be, it is a death of a relationship.
Yeah.
And
who you were.
who you were, and
So
now
different.
you got to rise to the ashes and become someone new post that.
Absolutely. Well, our slogan for Last Farewells is leave no words left unspoken. And to me, like, those are things right now you can tell people right now, like, I love you, like, please don't ever forget this and that. Leave no words left. Say what you need to say. The same applies to relationships. A lot of people don't, like, if they end badly, they don't get to say everything they need to say. I was really grateful. My ex was incredibly conscious. He was very communicative. One of the last things we did before we called it, well, like, before one of the few last times we saw each other, no, none of us have a podcast, but we literally got mics and we're like, let's set up this camera. Let's have a podcast. We're going to call it our Conscious Uncoupling podcast. We literally went through the highs and lows of our relationships. We talked about how did we help each other and what did we need in future partners. And we put it unlisted on YouTube. But we gave each other permission to share it with future partners in the future. And so that really gave me, like, we did a whole week of conscious uncoupling in a way that we went on our last dates. We really talked about, it was really hard. It was really hard, but we got to make these last few memories, and that wasn't finite. Like, it went through cycles. You start talking and you stop, you start arguing and then you're still working out, but you're still going through the process of grieving. But at one point there's a finale where you think, wow, this person, I would not be who I am without the lessons learned from this person. And even though the grief was so hard, thinking there was a whole future here, and then that future just suddenly disappears, it led me, right, for me, that sunrise birthday that I had, that was like all those people that I met this past year, I would have not met had that relationship not happened, or like that ending of the relationship not happened. And I said it in my speech. I said, raise your hand if you've been here. And like 50% of the people raised their hands. And I was like, if the ending with one person didn't happen, I would have not had all these new beginnings with you guys. These were new beginnings. So it was really that grief, like those first 8 months of last year were super hard, building the business, feeling the grief of the relationship. But at the end of the day, I really hope everybody can explore that concept of really leaving no words left unspoken, because now, like, my ex and I touched base last month, and we were friends in a way, but they were just so much gratitude for that person, and we literally left it like, hey, you're gonna be the coolest ex I ever have, straight up. Yeah, that's the coolest ex I'll ever have. Yeah. And that was beautiful. And now there's peace. And now the only thing that's bugging me is like, dang, how am I gonna launch this startup and do this and that? So now I'm back, right? But it was a process, and that grief was so different than the grief of my dad. It was harder because that person wasn't my go-to person. Mm-hmm. That person helped me with the idea of Last Rose in the beginning, like was such a number one catalyst and everything. So there's nothing you can say to someone who's going through a broken heart, to be honest. Like, I have no words of wisdom, but you got to go through it, and you got to keep going back until you finally say, wait, why am I going back? Like, I'm not growing from here. I need to move forward. But you got to go back. It's like alcohol. It's like, I can tell you a million times, don't drink, it's bad. My mom told me a million times, don't drink, that's bad for you. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom in the sense where I was like, why am I feeling this way? Well, what am I doing? So heartbreak is the same thing, and it's all grief at the end of the day. Grieving, everybody's going to experience grief in different ways. But I think those feelings have to be felt. And at the end of the day, if you have a possibility to leave no words left unspoken, I think it helps just a bit more. Say the angry words, I guess. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, there will be an epiphany moment of like, wait, new things start happening, and then you start realizing, dang, had that ending not happened, none of this would happen. Yeah. And so it's got to come from you too. It has to come from you. You got to wish that, you really got to wish that other person the best, in the sense where, like, why would you want to live a life where, you got to choose each other in a way, but like, why do you want to stop them from experiencing life in a way? Or why do you want to stop yourself from experiencing life?
Egoic. Here's the thing, like, I think it's the biggest red flag when I meet somebody and they speak ill about the person that last week their head over here is
you once loved them, yeah.
You loved this person, and there's a part of you that loves them in whatever situation, and maybe it wasn't. Relationships don't work out for a million reasons. That's not my point. But my point is, even if it did end poorly, even if you guys were not a fit, like, at one point you thought it was.
Yeah.
And so, in letting that go and letting conscious uncoupling, you have to wish this other human being the best.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't work out for you too, but I will never speak ill on an ex. I have nothing but positive things to say. It's like, I still love this person.
Yeah.
Maybe not in that same way. That's okay. It is what it is. But yeah, that's always been a weird red flag to me. It's like, oh boy, I don't want to be around you, because if you're willing to talk to me this way about that person, you're willing to
really loved.
talk about me, and you don't love me.
Yeah.
And I don't cuddle with you at night.
It's also a society thing when you surround yourself. Like, I had never met anyone who dog conscious uncoupling. I think we spoke about it in a relationship. Like, he's like, yeah, if like we talked about it, like if breakups ever happen, I think it should be this route. And to me, like, I grew up in the Latino community. I said, what do you mean we're gonna be friends? Like, what? Like, it's so easier. It's harder to do the conscious uncoupling because it's a lot easier to move forward with hate. It's a lot easier to hate someone and live your life and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go get bit. I'm gonna go do these things. I'm gonna be outside and move forward with that hate. It's a lot. That's the easier route, to be honest. The harder route is accepting it for what it is. I'm not, obviously, mine wasn't overnight. Like, I felt that anger. I felt like, how could this end? And I felt the spirals of it.
Yeah, and it's like, if we're so good, why can't we just make this work? Like, if we're able to sit at the table and record a podcast, like that's a crazy concept. By the way. I love it, but that's fucking crazy.
Listen to me. It's so beautiful, so kind of like, because you know what? In future relationships, like, how do you explain to someone, like, you're always going to have love for that person, but then to show that like, hey, this is actually a big part of it. This person was a huge catalyst in my life. It was thanks to this partner that he was a catalyst in me not drinking because he didn't drink. I realized, I don't need alcohol in a relationship. I never had thought I could experience that. And so that encouraged me, wait, I think I'm going to be sober forever, because that was my goal. But anyway, catalyst to all these things. And yeah, he was shout out to him for real. He taught me about healthy habits thy and like why certain water so and sleep.
Yeah, no. I mean,
anyways, you take away the best things, right? Now it's a year later, and I'm so grateful that I experienced it. But those hard moments were really hard, and it's all grief at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't know. I would suggest the podcasting though when you're in a good place, because it's cool to reflect on your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you said you weren't a podcaster, but that day you were, and that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's the whole premise of this. Is like, I try not to think that there's cameras here, because we're just having a conversation, right?
Oh, yeah.
And to me, like, the biggest thing from, I worked a 9-to-5 job. I couldn't stand it. I quit and went all in on this thing, and then that led me to getting random gigs and meeting Jamie and moving. I've lived in Colombia for some time. I lived here, traveled the world. I did some cool stuff, but it all comes from putting yourself out there. And even if you don't put it out there, it's out there for whatever purpose. And in the future, when you meet somebody, that would be an interesting thing to see, right?
Absolutely.
We've been going for a while. I want I could sit here and talk to you about this stuff forever. I think I really had an intention to tell this one story on the podcast, if you allow me.
Allowed. Wait, and first of all, I want to really quickly go back to what you shared about your grandpa. You were 14 years old. You were put in the position, like, to head something of something. You're bold. You're so bold. You're so brave, because that is not easy, and that is honestly, like, that's very shocking. So shout out to you. You were there for your brother and uncle too, and I'm sure they were so glad that you were there. So it all happened for that reason, and I hope that I'm sure your grandpa is he's gonna be one of the first people to hug you for sure.
Oh, for no, sure. Absolutely. And
thank you for sharing about your uncle too.
Oh, no,
his spirit, I felt it. I looked at you, and I'm like, I'm looking at his uncle. I really felt it.
I love that. No, and I'm actually going to India in a few weeks, so it's going to be one of my first times going back. In a long time. I haven't gone since 2019. In 2019, I went with 3 of my best friends growing up, 3 white boys. I took to India, and that was a amazing trip, but what a culture shock. And even me, I had not traveled around India. I would just go to visit family.
Yeah, it's such a different experience.
So different. And that was amazing, and I welcomed that.
Isn't it so special to take people to your home country, your birth country?
100%. But on the same topic of last farewells and all this stuff, there were some parts about the death that I was very uncomfortable with. That is like a trauma that has stuck with me, maybe even till today. And one of those is after cremation, you actually take the ashes and you dump them in the Ganges River.
Wow.
And in
everyone?
Yeah, like if you're Hindu, like that's, rich or poor, like that's your goal, is to get the ashes to the Ganges River, and then to bathe in that river where a lot of poor people can't even afford to get the body of their loved one cremated, so they'll just dump dead bodies in this river. So it's morbid. It's like horrifying, but I still did it. I still went through that process, and I like went in this river and bathed after dumping the ashes and all this stuff, and I experienced that. But there's one silver lining to all this, and it's like there's these like holy cities that are like along this river, right? And I went in 2019. No, going back, when I buried the body and I was or put the ashes, and I was with my dad and his brother, because he was with us for that trip. And we're like very North India, like close to like the Himalayas almost. And in this one particular city, the name of it's not coming to me right now, but our family has like a book, and that book records everyone born and who died in our family, and it's this like ancestry.com type like record of our family. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing it, but if I can, I would love to go visit and learn about my family, about my lineage, about who are the Sharmas. Like, I don't know much beyond my grandpa. I've been asking my whole family, and they're like, why do you care? And I'm like, I want to know, like, what my ancestors, like, where do we come from? Why am I who I am today? I'm a piece of all those people.
Yeah.
You know, and all those people, I have a belief that they're watching over me, and they're not like, I don't feel them like guiding me or anything, but I feel that they're watching.
Oh my God.
And they're observing, and they're like, what? It's like a reality TV show for them. Is how I conceptualize it. It's like they're just like, yo, like what's our bloodline up to? Like what's he saying? What's he doing? So, anyways, I'd like to do that. But yeah,
already done. You're going. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, this is already happening. Y'all caught it here first. He's gonna stitch this when he does it.
The last story I want to tell is, you know, another death story, but I'm at my cousin's wedding, and she's the eldest. She's one of my favorite cousins in the world. She came from my favorite uncle. Makes sense.
Really cool. We're friends too. Hey, cousin, my friend.
Jyoti, she's awesome. And so when I found out she's getting married, I'm like, I don't care. Her business was not in the best spot. We didn't have the most money, but I'm like, I'm going. I'm not missing a wedding. Like, I'm going.
The money comes back to you.
Exactly. So I went to Norway. We celebrated this beautiful wedding. We're out on this remote farm, beautiful, beautiful location on the water, like unreal wedding. And I'm there, and we're celebrating, and everything's going great. Wedding day happens, go through all the rituals. Indian weddings, if you don't know, are typically 5 days. But she married a Norwegian guy, so they did like a hybrid and really pared it down to like a few days type of thing. But anyways, I'm there, and so the wedding's done, and now there's like an hour or two to kill before the reception. And again, we're all staying here at this farm, hundreds of us. And I go back to like the hotel room or whatever that's there, and I go out and I have a drink, and I'm hanging out with some family members and stuff. And the pandit is what you call the like priest. He's like holding all the ceremonies, saying all the rituals and things. And he's basically like talking to me, asking me something. And I get this phone call. I got this phone call from a friend who at the time we had a falling out. We hadn't talked for a good part of almost a couple of years. We hadn't spoke. And it was odd. Why is he calling me? I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll get back to him. I'm having a conversation right now. Like, I can't pick up. Calls me again. I'm like, like that's weird. Like, I'll ignore it, but I'll call him. Calls me again. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I gotta take this. Call him back, and he's on the phone, and he's hysterically crying, like ugly crying, like snot crying, like not just like tears, really crying. And I'm like, bro, like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? He couldn't, I'm telling you, like a minute and a half, couldn't get words out. I'm sitting there like, I'm like, because my mom wasn't there. I was like, did something happen? Like, what happened? It's your mom? Like, what happened, bro? Like, this sounds like that's not a cry you get when it's like,
Yeah.
you know, a janitor from high school. It's not like not to, you know, but it's like, I don't, you know,
No,
this sounds,
your heart's already broken hearing those types of cries. Yeah.
and he's just like, it's our boy. We were 3 best friends in high school. And one of my best friends in the world, I grew up with, literally inseparable. We were neighbors. I'm talking about like he would come over to my place and like take naps and hang out. I wouldn't even be home, type of thing. Like we were like locked in, like best. He's my brother, and basically grew up like I mean, in high school, like with my family, I'd be at his house every day. Like we'd just be hanging out. We were like literally brothers. I got this call from my friend, and it's like, yeah, he passed away last night. I'm like, what? Like I was in disbelief. Like I wasn't even like, I was like, no, like what a sick prank to play. Like, what are you doing? He's like, no, like he passed away, like drunk driving accident last night. And yeah, and so I was just fucking devastated, but I couldn't just like, I'm at a wedding.
Yeah.
Like I can't just like freak out right now. So I go to the hotel and I'm just like numb. Like I'm not even crying. Like I'm just like numb. I remember going back to the hotel room, and then my dad walks in and he's like, what's wrong? Like, why aren't you ready? Like, we gotta go. I was like, Dad, like, I don't know how to tell you this, but like Asaf died. And he's like, what? And my dad basically falls to his knees and starts screaming, crying, like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, Dad, I don't need this from you right now. I need you to be the rock. Like,
what year was this?
This was in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022. So, I'm obviously now like I'm distraught, and now my dad's crying, so I'm crying because it's like he lost a son, right? So I understand because we're literally brothers.
I mean, that says a lot. The fact that your dad started.
Oh my God, he lost it, and I'm like, man, like he's just trying to console me and stuff, and now at this point I'm crying, but I'm like, man, like what do I do? I need to get there ASAP. He's a Muslim, and Muslims, they bury their dead immediately as well. And I'm in Europe. I'm in Norway. Like I'm not even in Canada where my friend passed. And I'm just trying to think logistics right now. How do I get there and be there for his family, which is like my family and all my friends?
And financially, you already made an effort to get to the wedding.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like,
I wasn't even worried about the money.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the next flight?
Yep.
And there was no flights. There's no direct flights. I'd have to take like 4 flights, and even the earliest ones, like $3,000-$4,000. Like it just, I don't know.
Days.
Yeah. And I'm not going to get there in time anyway. So I'm like, I got to stay cool right now and like get past this reception. So I actually suit up. I like wipe my tears, shower up, get in the suit, and I go to the reception, and I'm sitting there and I'm just a shell of myself. I'm pale. You see me, I'm brown. I was not brown at that moment. And my cousin and her mom, my aunt, and everyone is like, they're like, hey, we need you to give a speech. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, no, like, I'm good. And by the way, fuck you guys, because everyone who's been giving speeches has known about it for months and has like a prep speech.
Oh, yeah.
You're just asking me at the last minute, like, no, it would just be really special. Like, really, like, Jyoti would really love it. Like, it would be amazing. I'm like, guys, like, I'm just like not feeling well.
He didn't tell them what was going on.
No, I can't. I'm not about to taint this wedding. And I'm like, I'm not feeling good. Like it's you know, it is what it is. And I remember I went out, I had a cigarette, I step out, I have a fucking smoke, and I'm just like, how do I want this moment to be remembered right now? Am I just gonna like pussy out and not give a speech when everyone wants me to? And she'll always remember that. It's her wedding. It's the most special day. And like, then do I like ruin it by telling them why? Because if they keep pressing, I'm going to be like, my best friend just fucking died, okay? That's why I'm not giving you fucking speech. But instead, I just decided, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it from the heart. And there's no preparation needed. And I did it. And I got a standing O. It was an amazing speech.
Did you talk about your uncle?
Sorry?
Did you talk about your uncle?
I did, yes. And I talked about my beautiful cousins. And, you know, it meant a lot to me to be able to do that. But it also showed me a lot about who I am. Like, I was very proud that I did that. And
in a deep moment of grief.
100%. And I ended up going the next day, flying back to Canada, and I missed the funeral, which broke my heart.
Did you video call in?
I tried my best. It's
hard.
So much chaos.
A lot of chaos.
And so I missed it, but I went there and I paid my respects, and I was there for all my friends. And I threw an end-of-life celebration for my friend in my parents' backyard. I invited hundreds of my friends. I got a bunch of alcohol. I know you don't drink, but
I've drinking in my life. I was a part of your life.
So I'm like, hey, we're all getting fucked up. And I told my parents, I'm like, we're going to honor his memory. And he's Muslim. He's not even supposed to drink. I'm like, we are drinking. We're celebrating. Everyone's going to be here. We're going to have a bonfire. We cried. We laughed. We shared memories. And that's just kind of what I would want.
It is a way for you to get closure in a way, like the best way you can at the moment with what you have.
Exactly.
That's so
I'm sorry that was a little long, but I wanted to,
hey,
I really wanted to share that because last farewells means a lot to me, because I got to talk to Asaf the day before he passed away, or like a couple days before he passed away. And you know, there was this aura, like it's almost like he knew. It was very spooky. And I don't know, we won't get into all that, but basically I didn't get to say goodbye, but I always got to express how much I loved him. And so I don't have regret in that. But God damn it, I wish I had a last farewell from him. Maybe that's selfish. Maybe that's just something that I wish I had, but I still feel like he hasn't left me.
Yeah.
But man, I wish that I got to say goodbye that one last time, or that he got to say goodbye to his sisters that he left behind, his beautiful mom and dad, you know. And I lived through these people. I've lost a lot of people. I've lost a lot more, so many friends. My friend Tahir, he died of cancer during COVID. I couldn't even go see him to say goodbye, but I FaceTimed him. And he was just so loaded up with drugs. It was so painful.
My cousin as well died during COVID, 2021, 30 years old. Same thing. We had to FaceTime in, tubed up.
Oh.
And fat. And he left behind 4 children.
Oh, devastating.
Could barely find any photos of him. I was the one who created the GoFundMe description of like why you should. It's wild how those distant ones, especially because you can't go and say. Yeah. But I'm so glad that you were able to honor your friend. And I mean, I wish he had left you last farewells as well. But I think that's why it's important for me. I don't want this to just be an older person or people who are dying, because to me, like I said, it's life insurance. It's just in case, record it just in case.
Yeah.
And right now in end of life planning, it's not a common practice to leave things behind for people who are not family. Mostly immediate family is like who we think of, but I think Last Farewells is built in a way where these are micro messages, literally anywhere from 2 seconds to like 3 minutes. They're not meant to be hour-long things. They're meant to be quick and easy or simple, so that way you can get to more people, because you leave it behind not just for your family, but for your best friends, for your community. That's your chosen family, by the way. Your friends are your chosen family, and then they get nothing from you because it's just so common standard practice for like a will or to read out just, and I love you guys, everybody, bye. So I think that's where I'm trying to shift that perspective, because I do think people in our state, in our age range, should be thinking about this, especially for those moments.
And I think it can be a beautiful exercise to do like every year.
Yeah, you get updated.
Update it. Like,
yeah, you write one for their birthday. Imagine how special. Like I saw a video of a best man. He wasn't gonna make it. He pre-recorded his speech that was played at the wedding.
Oh.
Those are the beautiful moments that can happen. Like that's gonna happen with preparation. Now, obviously, it takes education and trying to make this like a modern viral trend. So that's where I'm trying to like bring Last Farewells in, to not just it having to be so morbid end of life planning, but like these are gifts. And I think once messages actually start getting delivered, once those messages get shared, I think that's really is what's going to help skyrocket us, or at least make it more known, because we had a video get 20 million views. 20 million people stopped to watch a last message. A dad listened to last message from a son. It's just a curiosity thing in a way. We want to kind of hear those things. So I'm thank you for sharing all these stories, and I'm sorry you've experienced that. And,
Oh no,
and it's things that we're gonna experience more, right?
Of course.
So and really quick to the burial practices, Nicaragua is the same way. It's day of is the viewing, next day is the burial.
Yeah.
My grandpa got so close to him, could not make it in time for his funeral. People came that night. The next day we've got mariachis and 200 people came. The city lent them buses so that everybody could go to the cemetery. And it's just not being for them. And video calling in to say goodbye to someone, it's really hard, because sometimes a lot of closure that we can get is actually touching this person's body.
Yeah.
And something I have made it a bucket list is to get my PhD in death, specifically celebration in death. I really want to understand how different cultures celebrate death. So you sharing this about this river that's research for me in the future.
Oh yeah.
I'm a donut block around,
and
I'm gonna major in celebration, whatever. Get my PhD in the celebration of death. And you know what? Fact to the third door, that program doesn't exist. I looked for it. It does not exist. So I'm gonna propose it to University of Texas. If you're watching this, I'm coming for you in a few years. Anyway,
I love that, Estrella. In this spirit of last farewells, what's the last farewell you want to leave our viewers on this show today?
Do you know? I was at a networking event, and they're like, what's your purpose? Raise your hand if your purpose is to help people. And like, naturally 80% we all want to help people. Like, now take that off the table. What's your purpose when it does involve other people? And I really had to thought of myself. My purpose is really, in this lifetime, I really want to have as much fun as I can, to be honest. And it sounds selfish, but it really, when I'm having fun, I help other people. Everybody's having fun. We're all just having fun. So to be honest, you should think about, like, if yes, we're all going to help people, but if you had this lifetime, like, what is your purpose? Whether it's to explore, whether to create experiences, like, figure that out and then just do it. Because for me, I'm really just trying to have fun in this lifetime. And that's why, like, yeah, I've cut off vices in a sense, just so I could really tap into that mental myself energy. So my last farewell is, I don't know, like, if you keep waiting until you're ready, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life. Quit your job. I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding. Do things that are going to, inspire you to take action and love and give. And that sounds so cheesy, but to be honest, like, that's really what's come about from my life with death.
So beautiful.
So this was so fun.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Estrella. We love you. We love your energy. I love everything that you're doing with Last Farewells.
Oh, I have something for you.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
Yeah. Escape.
Oh, no way.
Nicaraguan coffee. I love Nicaragua. And I appreciate you sharing me about you going back, because I completely feel the same way. Like, you go back to somewhere, and I love that you're going to go discover it. So you know what? Maybe you can save this, or like take it as a gift and give it away in your country. And then my business card, just to reiterate the gifting thing, says your words can be the greatest gift you leave behind. And I truly stand by that, to be honest. So this is great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. I'm a big coffee person, so I'm very grateful for this. Thank you so much. So where can people find Last Farewells? How do they?
Instagram, Last Farewells app, lastfarewells.com. Eventually I'll go to other social channels, but we're going to stick with those two right now.
Well, congratulations on everything that you've built. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing your story. And just remember,
death is not that deep, right?
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
Thank you, Estrella. I appreciate you.
That was so cool.